break on the HAN network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a standoff this morning in Stratford. Later on, Frank Granito will have a look at your forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and Donald Lang will join us later to take a look back on this day in history. But first, a 37-year-old Stratford man barricaded himself in his home this morning and threatened to kill himself, leading to a 4-hour standoff with police. Stratford police said this morning they were called to Daniel Nagy's home at 108 Hurd Avenue for a wellness check around 2 a.m. this morning. During that incident, Nagy threatened to shoot himself. The Stratford Police Special Response Team and negotiators responded and were able to resolve the incident around 6 a.m. this morning. Nagy was subsequently transported to a local hospital for observation and has also been charged with disorderly conduct. In other news, Monroe police were searching for 2 individuals who robbed Newtown Savings Bank in the Clock Tower Square off of Main Street on Friday morning. This happened around 11:30 in the morning. A bank robbery suspect was described as a black man wearing all dark clothing and a baseball hat. This individual was a passenger in a newer model 4-door gray Honda Civic, and he was picked up by a white female driving that Honda after the robbery, and they left the scene. Now, anyone with information on that robbery, the suspect, or the car is asked to contact the Monroe Police Department at 203-261-3622. And in other news, former New Canaan resident Mark Lynch, 58 years old, pleaded guilty to supplying the heroin that killed his 25-year-old son Christopher. That, according to the Stamford Advocate. On Friday, October 6, Lynch, in front of Judge Richard Comerford in Stamford Courthouse, pleaded guilty to criminally negligent homicide and sales of narcotics. Now, Lynch is expected to get sentenced to 3 years in jail and 7 years of special parole, during which time he can be returned to jail for violating any law. Now, Lynch stood next to his defense attorney, New Canaan's Matthew Maddox, and said yes after Judge Comerford asked if the state's fact of how his son died in September 2016 was correct. In other news, a New York man is accused of trying to solicit a minor from Stratford and was arrested last Wednesday by police. 25-year-old Dylan Quinn of Garrison, New York, turned himself into Stratford officers after he was charged with use of a computer to engage in a sexual activity. Police said detectives began investigating Quinn back in May when they were notified of a possible child pornography activity in town. Detectives from the Stratford Police Youth Bureau determined that Quinn had contact with a Stratford minor and solicited pornographic material. Now, a warrant for Quinn's arrest was completed on September 27th, and Quinn then turned himself into police. He was released after posting a $50,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in Bridgeport Superior Court on October 13th. In Milford, a Maple Street man was arrested October 4th for allegedly selling drugs out of his home. 22-year-old Kevin Lee was arrested after Milford Police Department's tactical unit executed a search and seizure warrant at his home, which followed an investigation into drug sales there. Police said they seized heroin during that search, and detectives also served 2 outstanding warrants on Lee for sale of drugs. You can get more on that story at milfordmirror.com. And Connecticut State Police have made an arrest following the March 21st discovery of an infant's body in Harwington, Connecticut. Back on March 21st, 2017, troopers in Litchfield responded to the Bristol Water Department in Bristol after employees discovered the body of a deceased infant in a reservoir there. Well, the Weston District Majored Crime Detectives conducted an investigation and identified that suspect. Upon conclusion of the investigation, detectives applied for and were granted a warrant for the suspect. Well, on October 6th, 21-year-old Benjamin Edgerly turned himself in on that warrant. Edgerly was charged with illegal disposal of a dead body and conspiracy to commit concealment of the delivery of a newborn. He was held on a $100,000 bond and transported to Torrington Superior Court. In other news, in Wilton, a swastika drawn in red marker was found in a boys' bathroom at Middlebrook School the morning of Thursday, October 5th. Now, Principal Lauren Feltz told the Wilton Bulletin on Friday that the swastika was immediately taken down and staff began checking the bathrooms hourly. She said a second swastika was later discovered and immediately removed as well. Well, Feltz heard that red ink had been found on a behavioral expectation poster that she said the images of concern were on a wall in one of the stalls. Now, according to an October 6 letter from Superintendent Kevin Smith, the parent of the child who drew that swastika came forward on the morning of Friday, October 6, and Smith said the child clearly did not understand the full meaning of the symbol or the repercussions of drawing it. Well, that morning, Felt said the entire middle school simultaneously met with team leaders to discuss what happened. Felt said the Wilton School has also reached out to the Anti-Defamation League, and you can get more on that story at wiltonbulletin.com. All right, let's take a turn, throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And unfortunately, we are not looking at weather as good as we saw last week. A lot of rain expected today as Tropical Rainstorm Nate makes its way up the coast. We're going to see rain throughout the afternoon, very windy at times as well, as showers will be heavier in the later parts of the afternoon. A high of 74 today, pretty humid out as well. That number's going to feel more like 85. It'll be warm and muggy overnight, a shower or two more this evening, and then partly cloudy through the later hours. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, less humid out, a high of 78. Still temperatures feeling more like 80 though, wind gusts down around 10 miles per hour. Clear skies overnight, a low of 59, and mild conditions heading into Wednesday. Clouds and suns mixed in throughout Wednesday afternoon. Not as warm, and we could see a passing shower later on in the day. Overcast overnight, a couple more showers earlier before the late hours heading into Thursday. A high of 69 in the day, a low 54 Wednesday night. Hopefully, though, things clearing up on the back half of the week. Kate, that'll do it for this weather update. Let's go back over to you.
Frank. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng will join us to take a look back on this day in history. Frank will have your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have some more local news coming up after this.
Now teeing off, Paul Miller from Miller Nissan in Fairfield.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What about my new Sentra?
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
He is never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Manfredi New Canaan is celebrating 3 exceptional years selling Rolex watches and fine jewelry to the Fairfield County community. We appreciate all our loyal clients and look forward to welcoming and helping you discover the perfect gift to celebrate life's most important occasions. Bankwell combines the best personalized service with high-tech banking features for our customers' convenience. We pride ourselves on being a strong community partner. You don't settle for average in anything else you do. Why settle for an average bank? Don't just bank when you can bank well instead. Visit mybankwell.com for more. Bankwell combines. Welcome back to this October 9th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski. Time to get a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, you know, someone who was a hero to half the population of the world rose to prominence primarily on this day. First, though, we go back to 1635 when Roger Williams banished from Massachusetts over his dangerous ideas, including separating religion from government and questioning whether the colonies should be simply occupying land that people were already living on. Williams would go on to found the Providence colony, which would later become Rhode Island. 1701, the Collegiate School of Connecticut is chartered by 10 ministers who donated their books. 17 years later, Boston businessman Elihu Yale would donate 560 British pounds, and the Reverend Cotton Mather would then suggest renaming the school after him, Yale College. Mather hoped the school would remain a strict Puritan orthodoxy that Harvard had fallen away from. That didn't happen. Incidentally, all 10 Yale founders are Harvard graduates. 1854, the siege of Sebastopol begins in the Crimean War. Now, most Americans don't really know too much about the Crimean War because it did not involve the U.S., but it is interesting because it was primarily fought over religion and not the way you might think. Catholic France, Anglican England, and the Muslim Ottoman Empire defeated the Orthodox Russians. Now, the interesting thing is that the religious dispute had started over access to Christian religious sites in Muslim territory, and the churches had settled their differences before the war actually started. But none of the world leaders would want it to be seen as backing down. 600,000 soldiers would die over the next 3 years, literally for no reason. I said it was interesting. I didn't say it wasn't tragic. Finally, now we go to 2012, just 5 years ago, but what a difference it made for this.
One of them came around the back and asked, "Who is Malala Yousafzai?"
She was very scared at that time. She doesn't tell me anything.
So all of us looked first towards Malala, then towards the man. So he knew she must be Malala. Then he fired straight at her.
This is where the...
Yes, that was on this date 2012. Members of the Pakistani Taliban fail to assassinate 14-year-old schoolgirl Malala Yousafzai. Malala had been blogging under a pseudonym for 3 years and had become a more outspoken advocate of educating girls, particularly in Taliban-occupied territory. She would recover to become the youngest Nobel laureate in history, and she is currently enrolled at Oxford University. That's your look back in history for today, October 9th, and I'm Donald Lang.
Thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, a former Ridgefielder living in the Virgin Islands spoke to the Ridgefield Press about cleanup following Hurricane Maria. Corrine Moorhead, who worked at the Town Recreation Center's front desk and also is the Ridgefield Press office receptionist, said there was a curfew on St. Thomas where she's been staying at her daughter's house on relatively high ground. People on the island can be out and about from 8 in the morning to 6 at night, she said. She said full power restoration isn't expected on St. Thomas until next year sometime. Moorhead said, "We have electric wires that run all over and a lot of them are down." She said, "We live with lamps like the days of Abraham Lincoln and it's sort of like camping." She said she's also heard media reports that people on the island were foraging for food, drinking dirty water, and going around with cutlasses as weapons, none of which she said is true. And in other news, Darien's Pear Tree Point School, the town's first private elementary school, which opened in 1996, is closing at the end of this school year. A message from Headmaster David Tregot on the front page of the Pear Tree Point website reads in part, "In an early all-school meeting, we discussed the many factors that have been impacting Pear Tree Point School and other small independent elementary schools in our region and beyond for a number of years." Now, Pear Tree Point was routinely filled with academic achievers, Tregot said. Students routinely qualify for the John Hopkins Talent Search and place among the top 5% in the nation for their grade. Now, the school has an enrollment of 120 students, according to the school website, and draws from Fairfield, Greenwich, New Canaan, Norwalk, Southport, Stamford, Westport, and Wilton, along with Darien. But there's a lot more on that story at DarienTimes.com. And in Wilton, a former Radio Shack retail space at the town's Gateway Shopping Center is proposed to become a new Asian restaurant. And a former office space down the road on Route 7 is proposed to become a package store. Now, the package store proposal is particularly interesting because there are only a few liquor stores in town under guidelines of the State Liquor Control Commission that limit the number of package stores according to the population. Now, the town may have up to 5 package stores, and there were 3, but Vintage Fine Wines in Wilton Center closed a few years ago. The proposed package store property is at 196 Danbury Road, owned by Hastings Real Estate, according to information from the Town Planning and Zoning Department. It is a New England barn and silo-style building that has been previously used for offices. Well, there's a lot more on that story at wiltonbulletin.com. And the Exchange Club of Ridgefield and Don't Be Silent will host a gala party and dinner on Saturday, October 21st at the Ridgefield Recreation Center to raise awareness of the pervasiveness of bullying and how to end it. Now, State Senator Tony Boucher will be a keynote speaker at the night's event alongside forensic psychologist Dr. David Bernstein. Mona Thorpe of Don't Be Silent will speak about her own personal experiences of growing up bullied, while Brigida Stone will give a talk on cyberbullying. Despite the serious subject matter, the night will also feature some live entertainment, and those wishing to attend can call 203-770-3614 or make a reservation or send an email to info@don'tbesilent.org. All right, we're going to throw it back over to Frank Granito now for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And it is a Monday morning, so we have our winners of the Athlete of the Week here for the HAN Network. And your Week 3 winners are Colton Nicholas of the Trumbull football team and Sophia Thagoras of the West Hill girls volleyball team. Congratulations to both of them. Sophia finished with 14 assists, 12 digs, and 7 kills, plus 2 blocks as West Hill edged Fairfield Ward 3-2 last week. With the win, the Vikings continued their great start to 2017. They finished the week with an overall record of 8-1 and a 4-1 record in conference play, which was good enough for the West Division lead. Colton Nicholas of the Trumbull football team threw for 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he added 1 on the ground as well when the Eagles took down Trinity Catholic 35-27. The junior guided Trumbull to touchdowns in the final minutes of both the first and second half as Trumbull got its second win of the year and leveled their record back to 500. Congratulations again to our Week 3 winners. For our Week 4 winners, make sure you tune in to Nutmeg Sports' pregame show this afternoon, 3:30 from Wilton High School. Before that, though, let's quickly look back on this past weekend of football in the FCIAC. Just 3 games in action. Thursday night, Brad McMahon ended a 14-game losing streak when they took down the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons on the road, 32-12. The Senators were winners. West Hill had a big win out of conference, 45-27 over Capital Prep on Saturday afternoon. And on Friday night, in our HAN Network Game of the Week, the Ridgefield Tigers handed the Staples Wreckers their first loss of the season in a back-and-forth tilt that ended in a 24-20 Tigers advantage. Luke Gatos scored the winning touchdown for the Tigers with 1:30 remaining. Again, we'll have more on that game later on this afternoon. Field hockey, an FCIAC championship rematch at 4 o'clock today. Make sure you stay tuned to the HAN Network's Twitter feeds, though. There is a chance with the impending weather that game may be postponed. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, we're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to recap some of the top stories we're following on your coffee break after this.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Bay Star and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
At Portofino Restaurant and Wine Bar in Bethel, fresh and simple food is our concept. Owned and operated by brothers Rocco and Louie, Portofino has a distinct and diverse food and drink menu. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come join us for live local music on Tuesdays and Sundays, Wednesday nights for mouthwatering prime rib, and every Thursday night is ladies' night. Planning a party? All our catering menus are personalized to suit your event and your budget. Join us at the Dolan Plaza, 213 Greenwood Ave, Bethel, and call us at 203-797-8131. Like us on Facebook. Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Whether you're looking for a great test prep program, tutoring to boost your grades, or a blast-off toward the college of your dreams, C2 Education is here to help. There is nothing one-size-fits-all about our programs. We offer customized tutoring and test prep for each student. Call us today at 203-423-3328. Whether you're Welcome back to this Monday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the top stories we're following today. A 37-year-old Stratford man barricaded himself in his home this morning and threatened to kill himself, leading to a 4-hour standoff with police. Stratford police say they were called to Daniel Nagy's home at 108 Hurd Avenue for a wellness check around 2 a.m. this morning. During that incident, Nagy threatened to shoot himself, police said. The Stratford Police Special Response Team and negotiators responded and were able to resolve the incident around 6 this morning. Nagy was subsequently transported to a local hospital for observation, and he's also been charged with disorderly conduct. In other news, Monroe police were searching for 2 individuals who robbed Newtown Savings Bank in the Clock Tower Square off of Main Street on Friday morning. This happened around 11:30 in the morning. A bank robbery suspect was described as a black man wearing all dark clothing and a baseball hat. This individual was a passenger in a newer model 4-door gray Honda Civic, and he was picked up by a white female driving that Honda after the bank robbery, and they left the scene. Anyone with information on the robbery, the suspects, or the car is asked to contact the Monroe Police at 203-261-3622. And former New Canaan resident, 58-year-old Mark Lynch, pleaded guilty to supplying the heroin that killed his 25-year-old son Christopher, that according to the Stamford Advocate. On Friday, October 6, Lynch, in front of Judge Richard Comerford in Stamford Courthouse, pleaded guilty to criminally negligent homicide and the sales of narcotics. Now, Lynch is expected to get sentenced to 3 years in jail and 7 years of special parole, during which time he can be returned to prison for violating any law. Lynch stood next to his defense attorney, New Canaan's Matthew Maddox, and said yes after Judge Comerford asked if the state's fact of how his son died back in September 2016 were correct. And a New York man accused of trying to solicit a minor from Stratford was arrested last Wednesday by Stratford police. 25-year-old Dylan Quinn of Garrison, New York, turned himself in to Stratford officers after he was charged with use of a computer to engage in a sexual activity. Police said detectives began investigating Quinn in May when they were notified of possible child pornography activity in town. Detectives from the Stratford Police Youth Bureau determined that Quinn had contact with the Stratford minor and solicited pornographic material. Now, a warrant for Quinn's arrest was completed on September 27th, and he turned himself into police. He was released after posting a $50,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in Bridgeport Superior Court on October 13th. In Milford, a Maple Street man was arrested October 4th for allegedly selling drugs out of his home. 22-year-old Kevin Lee was arrested after the Milford Police Department's tactical unit executed a search and seizure warrant in his home, which followed an investigation into drug sales there. Now, police say they seized heroin during that search. Detectives also served 2 outstanding warrants on Lee for sale of narcotics. And Connecticut State Police have made an arrest following the March 21st discovery of an infant's body in Harwington, Connecticut. On March 21st, 2017, troopers in Litchfield responded to the Bristol Water Department in Bristol after employees discovered the body of a deceased infant in a reservoir. Well, Weston District Major Crime Detectives conducted an investigation and identified a suspect. Upon conclusion of that investigation, detectives applied for and were granted an arrest warrant for the suspect by the Superior Court. Well, on October 6, 21-year-old Benjamin Edgerly turned himself in on that warrant. Edgerly has been charged with illegal disposal of a dead body and conspiracy to commit concealment of the delivery of a newborn. He was held on a $100,000 bond and was transported to Torrington Superior Court. And in other news, in Wilton, a swastika drawn in red marker was found in a boys' bathroom at Middlebrook School the morning of Thursday, October 5th. Principal Lauren Feltz told HAN's Wilton Bulletin on Friday that the swastika was immediately taken down and staff began checking the bathrooms hourly. She said a second swastika was later discovered and immediately removed as well. Feltz heard that red ink had been found on a behavioral expectation poster, she said, but the images of concern were on a wall in one of the stalls. Well, according to an October 6 letter from Superintendent Kevin Smith, the parent of the child who drew the swastika came forward on Friday, and Smith said the child clearly did not understand the full meaning of the symbol or the repercussions of drawing it. That morning, Feltz said the entire middle school simultaneously met with team leaders to discuss what had happened. Feltz said the school has also reached out to the Anti-Defamation League. You can get more on that story at wiltonbulletin.com. All right, let's throw it back over to Frank Granito for one final look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And again, we are staring down an afternoon filled with rain as tropical rainstorm Nate makes its way up for Fairfield County. A high of 74 today, wind gusts between 16 to 20 miles per hour, and we will see heavy showers throughout this afternoon. Warm and muggy overnight. We could see 1 or 2 more showers this evening, then partly cloudy through the later hours heading into Wednesday. Partly sunny out on Wednesday and a little warmer, not as humid though, a high around 80 degrees. Again, partly sunny skies through the afternoon. Clear skies overnight, a little more mild out with a low of 59. Not as warm out on Wednesday. Clouds and sun spells with a passing shower maybe in the afternoon. A high of 69 during the day, a low of 54 overnight. It will be overcast and we could see 1 or 2 more passing showers before Thursday morning. That'll do it for this weather update. Again, keep an eye on our Twitter feed. We'll let you know about this afternoon's field hockey FCX Championship rematch. Wilton and Staples scheduled for 4 o'clock. Stay tuned. Kate?
All right. Thanks so much, Frank. Well, we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but we'll see you tomorrow at 11 with the latest local news and more. Have a great day and stay dry.